Here you go. Can you see his CV? Okay, here you go. Today, I invited the Professor Kang Lee, Deakin University, Australia, and AI-driven competitive discovery and enhancement. Professor Kang Lee is a university academic board member at Deakin University, Australia. Well, board member is a powerful position. He is an AI director in Deakin Cyber Security Strategic Research Center. Oh, he is an IEEE task force on educational data mining and chair. On the IEEE data mining and big data analytics and technical committee, 2017 through the 2019 vice chair, and IEEE enterprise information system technical committee. He's the editor of Springer's CCIS series and the editorial board of journals, including Decision Support System, which is the top tier journal in MIS and IS and CS cybersecurity area. In tourism and hospitality, he served a role associate editor in the editorial board of journal, including Tourism Management, Journal of Travel Research, Asia Pacific Journal of Tourism Research, Information Technology and Tourism, and Journal of Smart Tourism. Wow, the very best important journal of Smart Tourism. Okay, he is internationally recognized expert in data science, data privacy, and business intelligence. He has co-authored 10 papers that won Best Papers Prize, including Springer's IPNM. This is IPNM, Information Processing and Management Journal, okay, 2023. Best PhD Paper Award winner, honorable mention, and INT Journal Paper of the Year 2017 and 2023, 2007 Nightingale Prize. What is that? By Springer. Okay, please welcome Dr. Professor Kang Lee. Thank you. So, stage is yours.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, all good. Yeah. Just wait. I just have to. Okay. I think we may start now. And the topic is about this AI-driven destination competitiveness. And before I move into the details of this talk, I would like to thanks to my collaborators and students. Most of the work I'm going to talk today is from this guy. That's Haiyang Xia. And today, I think just 1 hour ago, he finished his oral defense in Australian National University. So he is going to get his PhD. So that is for this guy, that's Haiyang. And then the other collaborator is my student, as we call her, that's Bao Baosong. And she's the one who helped a lot in this area. We call it as the hospitality, that's data analysis. But the methodology is roughly the same because in this area, we may have many different kind of, say, methods which might be able to apply it in this area. However, the key problem for us is how we can shape an AI algorithm in this area, and then what kind of special properties we may need to highlight such that the whole area that we can get benefits from it. So these two are our students in the area, and then collaborators that are in related domain, including ANU Spiegert, and also the other that's faculty members and Professor Robolo. I think in tourism you all know him. I think we had nearly 30 years collaboration in many different areas. Just as Professor Chu introduced, my background is a little bit complex. I really consider it as complex. The main reason is you may find that I'm data scientist trained as AI researchers. But my first academic paper award was from the area. Nowadays, we call it as that's a Landing Gear Prize. I think the area is medical science
Oh,
by Springer. That's very strange. I can tell you that's how I moved to this area, like tourism. The main reason for landing gears, at that time, more than 20 years ago, we found that the data set some of my friends provided to me, they don't know what is the meaning, and then they cannot see pattern from it. So I just utilized the methods in AI to try to come up with the understanding of the pattern. And I don't know about those kind of terminology at all because they are all in medical. I believe that if those kind of terms written in Korean, you don't understand. Okay. In Chinese, I don't understand. In English, I don't understand. But I show them the pattern. And then the results finally, at that time, someone in the area said that impressed the whole domain. So that's why they give me that award. We call landing here. You know, it's a nursing, it's a nursing name. So that is the background. However, the problem is my collaborator at that time, when I was a junior faculty member here, I collaborated with a postdoc fellow. But in the medical science, it's very difficult to get a tenure position. Okay, so the guy didn't become a doctor or didn't become there's a professor in university, so he cannot continue. And for me, I even though I got this award, I fear that I cannot do this area, applied area myself, okay, because I don't understand the term at all. So that's why for the application domain, I managed to two paths. One is traditionally in computer science, and you can see that I'm a cybersecurity professor and talking about all sorts of attacking and defense and privacy. This is one part of my lab's research. And then the other part is about this continue into this more general applied one, and we call it as a business management, tourism, hospitality management. So these two parts are mainly about the applications that's in the area. And then for this part, the thing I'm going to talk about is mainly related in the third area. That's how AI can be utilized in the law, regulation, business, and management. And in the past several years, we know that AI had a lot of there's this making a lot of noise in the world. Everyone was afraid about it. Okay, maybe AI is going to take my job. AI is going to make the programmer out of job. So there are a lot of that's concern about it. But then also we worry about whether our data will be secured or whether someone is going to use my face to generate a deep fake video about me and that's make the video to announce whatever things to say, okay, I'm going to give you a scholarship you come today, this afternoon, and that's your $1 million, whatever, okay? So you can see that nowadays, this kind of AI has been very universal, but there are a lot of concern about it. So one of my research lab within the Deakin, there's a cyber research center. We are doing those kind of the consultancy support for government and for agency, for the federation, that's the law and the regulations. So we write white papers for those areas. But at the same time, we also do the tourism and hospitality, that's a management research. The main reason is first, there's Professor Rob Lowe, one of that's a very influential professor. He has a very long-term personal collaboration with me. But I remember nearly 25 years ago when I said that my collaborator, he cannot find a job. So I cannot continue into the medical research. He said, okay, just work in tourism. So starting from there, more than 20 years ago, I use tourism area to train my lab students, and sometimes as bachelor. And Professor Chu mentioned that's now associate professor Kwang Wu. He joined my lab in his second year bachelor, and in his bachelor he published 2 A star. Okay, tourism management. Okay,
okay.
that's that directly that's a
Okay.
change in his career. So that was something that's as a background. But then we have a look at this AI to say why nowadays AI is so popular. And we know that traditional AI was just considered as a trick. Or in the university terms, we call it as say science and technology. And then the AI always belongs to the technology part. It's not a science. You may
Yes.
heard about some people say, okay, whatever called science, they're not science. For example, management science is not a science. Computer science, people say that's not a science. And then we have political science, that's not a science. But then they said the real science, we're not called science, right? The physical, mathematics, even statistics, they have this kind of claim about it. However, we saw some kind of really good trends in the past. And one of the trend, of course, we may see that we had someone that's won the best that's a technology that's award, Turing Awards in computer science. He was awarded with Nobel Prize in economics. Okay, maybe many of you know him. Okay, unfortunately he passed away. It's Herbert Simon. He is the first one who got Turing Awards, Nobel Prize in IT, and then Nobel Prize in economics. Okay, so that is first one. But more impressive is last year. Okay, October. The Turing Awards winner that's in 2018 actually got the Nobel Prize Physics. And this is a very strong message that, okay, even though this AI was considered trick technology, but in some way, nowadays it's more like a science part because he developed this area in physics and statistical physics about those kind of networking. And then the day after that day, the Nobel Prize in chemistry also came to AI researchers, and they were the group of researchers behind AlphaGo. You know that you all play. That's many of you understand Go, and 2016, I think
2006.
Idoli that's lost the game to AlphaGo. And then that technology that's changed into a program called AlphaFold. And in the medical and then in the there's a biology chemistry area that makes significant kind of changes. So that is the thing we observed. However, even though those two things happened last year, 20 years ago, nearly 20 years ago, there was a claim already said that's the end of science. Okay, that's 2016 Wired magazine, a cover page that we are moving into an age that you don't need to be too smart, you don't need to be that much good in the knowledge and in your in your formula, in your math. Nowadays, we have some kind of mechanism to support you to do really good as a research. And then, lo and believe them, okay, 2006. Now, many of us believe so because it turned into the reality. But what is the reason for this kind of trend? You say that the end of science? What is the driving force behind it? There are several driving forces, and all of these are at least were buzzing words okay, at some stage. One of the buzzing words was called big data, and this comes from the law we call as Moore's law. Moore's law said that every 2 years, the power of CPU will get doubled. The size of the RAM or the storage will also get doubled. That's why in that time, I think from 2006, from 1965 to 2016, this 51 years period. If you wait for 1 year, the same price, you get even powerful CPU, even powerful as storage. And of course, we don't want to talk about this one, but in our life, we found that it's much easier for us to collect the data. We see that many of you are too young, that's born maybe after year 2000. For me, there's an old one. I remember that when I was young, the whole family, the whole year may have 2 or 3 rows of photo. Okay, you have to develop it, you have printed the whole year, maybe 100. Okay, 60 or 32, I remember 32, and then maybe rich family may have 100 photos. But now that you can see maybe every day you take step here or there, you got a lot of chance to capture the data and store the data. So that was the reason for why in the year, I think around 2010, the term big data become very hot. And then there are a lot of discussion about it. You can see that in Nature magazine, that is also called as Science in the Terabyte Era. And the data is there. Of course, how to process this kind of data was a problem. Fortunately, we have some company, okay, like Google. 2004, that's April 1st, they claim that everyone, you will get an email box, which is 1 GB size. But why is impressive? And why at that time no one believed it? The main reason is the popular email box, the size is 15 megabytes, okay, by Yahoo Mail. And then another popular one is Hotmail, that's 25 megabytes. So you will have to remove all your email from the server so that your new email can come in. So that was what happened at that time. But 2004, the thing Google declared actually started the era we call it as cloud computing. Okay, cloud computing. The idea of this kind of cloud computing is very different from traditional. There's high performance computing. There's research. In many countries, I think United States and China and India, there are many research center or high performance computing center. What they're doing is they try to make more powerful CPU, I mean, more large storage disk, and this kind of method they call scaling up. Okay, however, it doesn't work. At least doesn't work successfully because the best CPU you have, even though you customize it, you cannot be even fast, maybe 10 times or 100 times. No. So Google utilized a different way. We call it horizontal scaling. They said, how about we just cluster a group of math computer together so that by collaboration, they can solve a big problem. And then this is the method. And this is also the research work at that time become very hot. That is the term we call it cloud computing. And then 2008, Turing Awards winner, that's Jim Gray. Okay, he was the person behind databases. So if any of you are using database, Microsoft Access and SQL Server or anything related database, he was the driving person behind it. Okay, and he said that because of this kind of popularity of the data analytical methods, the collection of big data and the power of this kind of infrastructure. Nowadays, when we do science, we do it differently. And we are from this empirical stage, moving into theoretical computation in the World War II. This was Newton's time. And then in 2000, we are moving into the fourth paradigm of science research. It said that you don't need to be that smart. And then you just need to be have a good insight in the area, identify the right problem, has the channel to collect the related data, and then some kind of mechanism is going to help you to find the best kind of say, findings, maybe not possible by human power. So that was the area they call it fourth paradigm of science. And in some country, like India, there is a national that is a research institute. They call it the fourth paradigm, the institute, in India, the Bangalore. Okay, in China, there is also a company called 4PI, and then I think this before COVID, I think I had a long collaboration with them. And give a summary by now, I think we talk about a lot of these kind of say phenomena came in the past 20 years. But why AI was so hot? There were two driving forces behind it. One is we have growing flood of the data. We see that we have so many data, we have so many books, now they are digitalized. Using some kind of model to understand this kind of data, they will be able to make this kind of machine, which is really powerful. Nowadays, we saw the examples like, say, ChatGPT or even DeepSeek. They all work really well. And you found that if you ask any kind of question, they can give you answer, I would say, better than average. I would say 60% correct. And we try to use it in teaching of computer science students. They can complete our assignments at least 60 to 70, that's personally correct. So it's better than an average student. Okay, so I will say that is one of the reasons. The other reason is nowadays we have infrastructure, like say, map-reduced structure, and we also have the kind of GPU and available, and this make the analytic of the kind of AI so powerful. So that is AI. But then let's have a look at close into this kind of trend. And 2006, that cover page called as the end of science. Now the question for us is, how about social science? Is it the end of social science? The question, I would say the answer might be same, but I would say it may not be the end, but at least it provide a different way to do social science research. So we will have to leverage those kind of AI algorithm in different area so that we can be more beneficial from those kind of advances. But to many of us, what is AI? I don't have time to ask you, but I believe that many of the non-professional that's AI, that's a researcher. Even your research area is not AI, you are just a user of it. You may feel that okay, AI just ChatGPT. I give you a question, give you data, they will give me an answer. That's it. Okay. If we look at into the details behind it, AI was not that simple. Starting from 1950s up to now, that's nearly 70 years history. And there are a lot of things involved in AI. The methods related to AI also very different. You can see that we have many things like say, what is AI trying to do? The purpose is try to make some of the task automated and try to enhance some of the things we cannot do it properly by our human eyes. So that is the aim about it. But then along the area, they developed many different kind of knowledge and methods about it. The first group of AI method is talking about the skills, decision making, inference, and then feedback. We may heard about something like expert system. In 1980, 1990, it was very popular. They said that we may have a medical doctor. Okay, you just give all of this kind of medical check record to it. They will give you prescription. They'll tell you why. So this kind of research is was very popular because they do the reasoning thing and then they do the understanding of the knowledge part. And this kind of area we call as cognitive AI, as understanding how people make decisions, decision support system, or in this area. Popular in 1970s to 19 maybe 1980, 1990s. That's the most popular stages like this. And then the other kind of AI and very popular was machine learning. Okay, we all heard about machine learning and provide a data set. We may have supervised learning to build a class file, to build some kind of prediction like ARIMA algorithm or LSTM algorithm for all the predictions. Or you may have the SVM to say whether this is your target that is user or not. They may have this kind of targeted advertisement area. And then this thing, using the data, try to do a model for forecasting. This area we call it as analytical AI. The second major part about it. And then we also have another one to say, okay, they will not just to find out the analytic AI, but provide them a lot of data. They will automatically come up with a pattern and they understand how this kind of pattern generated. And from this kind of generation, they will be able to generate similar things. That's for us. So this is the trend we saw in the past, maybe 2022. That's people realize that it's coming into the world because ChatGPT in its version 2.0, he wrote a story called Unicorn, the story about unicorn article. People realize that, okay, now we are moving into an era. This AI is doing creative things, not just based on whatever we know, whatever we observe, but they do something creative. So that is generative AI. So you can see from methodology point of view, we have this many different kind of category of methods. And then if you combine those things together, put in the robots, that is something we may call as humanoid AI, robots, embodied AI. And if you search Google, this embodied AI is very, very hot starting from last year because they're trying to build a virtual human or maybe even a robot which looks like a human, think like a human, behave like a human, but just need to be powered by electricity, by battery, rather than by food. I think that was something we saw this. So all of these are related to AI. So when we are trying to use AI to say, I want to use AI for research, what do we mean? Okay, because AI is so broad. Okay, you cannot say, you cannot claim anything as AI. So if we look into details of these three categories, and I will say for now,
Professor Kang,
Yeah.
Kangli, I have a
Yes.
question about the several different types of the AI before that previous slide.
Yeah.
The okay, you explained to us the history of how AI developing and evolutionized from the automation to the generative AI at this moment. You said you are the professor of the computer science and data
Yeah.
science in
Yeah.
in those area.
Yeah.
Actually, 2021 and December, when the ChatGPT emerged to our reality,
Yeah.
everybody got shocked
Yeah.
and surprising. But
Yeah.
as you are expert of computer science, did you forecast the kind of a generative AI come to our life? Because like when you mentioned the expert systems, it's a rule-based
Yeah.
system and case-based reasoning system, and the kind of things I studied before, and I
Yeah.
made a programming using of rule-based and insight plus and sort of things. Actually, it's not
Yeah.
the AI. It's not something you know. Uh,
It's just like a
well,
sample-based reasoning. They
yeah.
check about history to see, yeah, follow the trend.
So
Yeah.
at that time, 1997, 1998, when I was a
Yeah.
master degree student, I'm so disappointed. What is this? This is AI, and this is an expert system. And suddenly, at this moment, the generative AI is a fantastic and outstanding. But
Yeah.
after 21, since the
Yeah.
ChatGPT comes to our life,
Yeah.
probably we are shocked, but you are the expert of this area. Can you, did you, did you expect it or predicted this kind of stuff?
Uh, from 2014, we believe so. Okay,
You believe so?
2014, because there was something called a GAN,
Uh,
GAN,
uh,
proposed in that's 2014,
uh,
and then we believe that there will be something like this to happen into the world
uh,
and about capture those kind of generation of the data. So that was the thing we expected.
uh,
But the thing impressed us is, in order to do this, we need to have some kind of computational power to analyze all sorts of knowledge, all sorts of data.
uh,
And we don't think that's possible. We didn't think.
uh,
But then 2021, 22, this I was actually from 22, really impressed the world. The first version was in 2000, I think 21,
uh,
the ChatGPT.
uh,
We believe that they were close
uh,
because they did find a training algorithm, use so many that's GPU and using so many as
uh,
class computing to get this kind of training converged.
mm,
Because we know that training is very difficult to converge, but they did get it converged. And
mm,
then that was the thing uh, we saw it come into the reality.
mm,
Scientifically, that's people know 10 years ago, no, that's methods. The method doesn't change that much. Even though the more recent DeepSeek
mm,
from China,
mm,
we were not surprised because we know that if someone already have the ChatGPT available, you learn from ChatGPT. It's always very fast.
mm,
Then learn from the original book.
mm,
So that was the thing people know. That algorithm also there. That's reinforcement learning. I
mm,
think last week it won the Turing Awards.
mm,
So the method's already there, but the question was, who has the resources, who has the platform to
mm,
really get training?
mm,
Professor, we don't have money, we don't have resources to do it.
mm,
Some big company maybe they're working on other things. So
mm,
sometimes some group really get it happen.
mm,
That impressed the world.
mm,
Scientifically, I
mm,
will say no. Okay, we were not that surprised.
mm. Okay. So that's why the Jeffrey Hinton, he got the Nobel Prize.
Yeah,
That algorithm he developed this backpropagation theory, and the algorithm is scientifically
yeah,
proven.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah, yeah. The method is still the same. Even the training, the
mm,
BP algorithm that in 1980 proposed, still is one of the most influential algorithms in all of this kind of say training models. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
move to this AI part. So we talk about this different category of AI, and from methodology point of view, they are cognitive AI, analytical AI, generative AI. These three major category. from the methodology point of view. But if from the there's a application point of view, what kind of things this AI provides to us? And we summarize into these four parts. And from the methodology, there's a cognitive AI or analytical AI. But for the application one, we have the descriptive AI to understand what is a pattern. For example, we have a lot of data, whether someone can help us to see the pattern inside of it. One example is when we do literature review, originally, you have to read these hundreds of papers together yourself. But whether you can have some tools to help us. Nowadays, you can use ChatGPT to help you to summarize. But then there are also other kind of, say, descriptive AI methods which can help you to understand this kind of, say, background. So that's descriptive AI. And then we can have diagnosis AI. Diagnosis AI, what it's trying to do is they saw a symptom. They want to know why it happened. Because they may say, okay, now why this hotel has so much dropping in the customers, and what's the reason? And then they find out the cause about it. That's a algorithm AI. And then they have predictive AI. Predictive AI is just based on historical things and based on the actions. They want to say, what might be the consequences? And then the other one is, this is new, okay? Prescriptive AI. Prescriptive AI is the thing we say, they give you a method. Based on method, you are going to achieve your objective. So that is something very new. It is related to 2021 Nobel Prize in economy. The methods is called as counterfactual, that's a reasoning. And then in most of application, people were not aware of this one. And I believe many of us know this one, predictive or descriptive, because if you are learning data science, you know a lot of descriptive things. If you're doing the machine learning, you know predictive things. And that's a neural network, LSTM, or predictive. And then this one, it is something I would like to mention today. So that is the big background. So now let's move into the area. Okay, one of the area that's I think this morning, 1 hour ago, that's my PhD student finished his oral defense. The topic is in the area we call it destination competitiveness. And then we know that the tourism is so important, but for tourism to be happening, and the first thing is the destination has to attract some kind of visitors. And of course, for visitors to spend their time for holiday, they will have to think about what is their destination and why I choose this one or the other one. For example, if I visit Korea, I will have to think about I will spend one whole week in Seoul, or I will spend 3 days in Seoul, 3 days in Busan, or I will spend my whole week in Jeju Island. So we have to make some kind of choices. But then why we need to do kind of choices? Why I choose this, or why I need to choose that? And then many people believe that it is based on how competitive this area is. Okay, so whether the price, the metro line price is too expensive, or whether it's very free, or whether accommodation and many other kind of resources, and then they think about they are adding into the competitiveness of this kind of destination. So starting from 1990s, there are a lot of researchers trying to understand what make a destination competitive, and how can we improve the competitiveness of a destination. This destination could be a country, could be a city, Seoul or Busan or Jeju, or it could be a hotel. Just like say around the campus, we have many different kind of hotel. So if I camp and stay that's in the city in Seoul, so which hotel I'm going to use, and then why I choose this, why I choose that. There are many different reasons about it. And then if you check about number of research work, you can see starting from 1990s, 30 years. This is in the top tier journals. There's so many number of the paper that's published in the area. We call it as the destination competitiveness. So now give you, that's one question. So if someone, your professor, as for students, if your professor provided you this many papers, add up nearly 1,000, how are you going to analyze it? Your PhD only 3 years. If 1,000 paper, every day you read 3 paper, you need 1 year to finish. If every day you finish 1 paper, you need 3 years. You have no time for research. So that is the first thing that we are facing about the research. So the question about AI is nowadays is can AI help us to understand the scope and help us to do literary review? For existing literature review, there are many different methods, but I think there are many challenges coming from the large domain. Like we don't have time to analyze so much documents ourselves, and then we may overlook some part, and then we want to think about, is it possible for us to have some kind of methods which can help us to do the understanding of this area? And of course there are, because in the past, I would say 20 years, there is an area called as natural language processing. You collect all the documents, just like ChatGPT. You send in the documents, ask it to summarize, they summarize it for you. But before that, before we have ChatGPT, this work was done in 2001. Okay, ChatGPT was not powerful. And then we think about how can we come up with a method which can help us understand the development in the research in an area. So this part we call it computational literature review. And if you have interest, we can say that you can also use it in your own research. The main method is we are going to collect all of those kind of documents, okay, automatically. Of course, you have to download it. And after download it, there are different ways to help you to identify some kind of, say, statistic. For example, like who is the that's a top researcher in the country, who is the most cited paper in the history in this area. This can be statistic. Many kind of tools support you to do so. But there was something which you cannot do it simply. For example, you don't know, there's all of this paper about evaluation of the competitiveness of a hotel. They'll all talk about this, but is that a method which can help you to understand how they do it differently? What is different in their methodology? So that one, we cannot utilize those kind of bibliography analysis, this kind of tools. You cannot do it here, okay? So we have to utilize some kind of new method. This new method actually was not new. The method topic analysis was before 2010. And then topic analysis, nowadays it's very popular. And then what we're trying to do is we're trying to, from all of this kind of text, we are going to check what are those paragraph talking about. Okay, if we're talking about food, this is about food topic. If we're talking about the hotel location, that's location. And then the most popular kind of, say, topic, they will be able to have that's a high frequency. Of course, something you don't care, but if for research, you can from those kind of grouped topic and identify what are those big ones people has been investigated in the past. Of course, across the years, you can see a topic, what time it was discussed, and then next year whether it's increasing or not, whether it's increasing or not. So you can see the histogram of frequency of this kind of topic indicate. The first one is which topic is hot. Okay. Second one is indicate which topic is dying. Because if some topic is published a lot and now it's dropping on the right hand side of a Gaussian bell, the topic is dying. You should not touch it. Okay. If something is on the left hand side of a Gaussian bell, and then that's okay, it's emerging. So for a PhD student to select a topic, you should step in early stages. Of course, you have to do evaluation. So what we were trying to do at that time was we analyze all of this kind of topic. Okay. And then identify that is what kind of things has been popular and what are the existing problems and what are common things in those kind of existing research. And we found that most of the research work in the existing one, competitively discovery, was either from the economic perspective, that's output. You see that for a location, they have the resources, and then they attract travelers to here, they have the profit. And then someone from the resource input side to do the research, that resource perspective, very popular. Another one comes from the output to say, okay, bring the city, like Busan, a lot of that tourist income, and then they're also very popular. So these two categories are the existing common methods in those kind of things. And the most popular one between two is the resource perspective. Okay, there are many different kind of models and there are many different kind of assumptions about it. So that is the common things we found that either from this or from that, but resource-based one is most popular. Okay, and then they, as for how can you evaluate a particular city like Seoul or Busan or Jeju Alan, the competitiveness. And for those kind of say method is just trying to do from the resource side how they can improve, and then from resource side that is what are they good at. So that is the key thing. If you say for this city, I want to give you say $1 billion, okay, 1 billion Korean dollar, okay. So say to improve the competitiveness, how are you going to do it? So most of the existing research work, they said that we are just trying to do it through improving this kind of say competitive with disadvantage. If something I'm not good at, I'm trying to improve it. Okay, that's the common way. However, this may not be true. Okay, the main reason is think about a hotel. People don't like your location. So you may not be able to improve your location, right? That's if you just change your location, that's a different hotel. So something you may not be able to change. So that's something we found in this kind of improvement side. And then for evaluation side, they have other kind of common assumptions we can identify. And one of the key things is we assume that all of these things, they can be easily collected. And then for those kind of resources, we also hope that these kind of resources we can have some kind of methods which can help us to use it to indicate the capability of this destination. So that is the common part that is we see in the existing compatibility evaluation work. And then we also analyze the assumption about improvement. And most of the existing work they said that we just improve the disadvantage. Whatever things, weakness, we are going to improve. That's a common thing, but whether it is true or not, now if you put it as a human, we know that we never be able to improve our disadvantage. For example, like if you are young, same as my height, want to find a girlfriend and the girl said you are too short. You cannot change it that much. Maybe you can, but not that much. So the thing is, this might not be the right way to improve the competitiveness, okay? And then they also say that if I improve this one, it's attractive to all the tourists. Maybe not, because for some kind of area, people come there just for hard life, for hiking, to make life very difficult. They come for tourists in that kind of location. Make it very comfortable. Have cable car, everything, and then people may not like it. Okay, you may lose your target as a tourist. So that's a common assumption you find out from those kind of literature. And then they also find that in the whole domain, there's some kind of shift in the there's a market. Traditionally, we use service-based, but then nowadays it's more experience-based. This is understandable because for tourists, there are some tourists that come for sightseeing, come for relaxing, come for comfortableness. But there are also some kind of visitors come for hardship. I just want to get some kind of different kind of say experience. So experience-based market is something which was also there, but not many people pay attention to it. So based on this, okay, of course, the changes at the very beginning of this guy's that's a PhD research is whether when we are trying to do research, we consider more on this experience-based tourism market rather than this service-based market, okay? Because service-based market also related to profit, the data we cannot get because those kind of data is say how much income your hotel receive and how much that's other kind of things that you may receive, and this is not open to outside. But experience based one, the data they are very commonly they're publishable, okay, to outside in the TripAdvisor or Agoda or different kind of platform. They have this kind of data, so you can see that for research purpose. There's some kind of say there's a logic behind to say why we do this research. We should focus on the experience based one rather than this output based one. because traditional competitiveness, they're either from the input side, resource-based side, or output side, profit-based one, do research. But along the way, that's the experience. Not many people are doing this way. So from this kind of discovery, we found that there are a lot of topics in this area. And then we listed as what are these topics. And then across the years, that's how frequent the topic has been there and what are common themes. And then more importantly, we check across the years whether some topic is emerging, some topic is dying. There's a trend about it. And then we can immediately see what is emerging, what is new, what kind of things is happening, but no one notice it. So that gives us the starting point for this PhD research, okay? And
Okay, I
then
have
we
a question
identify
for
a
you.
number of, yes.
Okay. Your explanation about the assumption based on database or database analysis, which is a timely, important, and necessary one. As you mentioned, the destination competitiveness, like in South Korea, comparing to the Japan, when I was in the university students, when I go to the London, when I go to the New York, the competitive, advantage, definitely the Japan is far advanced than Korea. Still is about the tourism place and then activities, Japan is more higher than Korea. But a lot of the things are suddenly changing because of due to the K-pop and the drama sort of things. And then the people choose Korea destination somewhat equivalent to the Japanese competitiveness. So like what you mentioned, that something, the trend is changing based on the certain moment because of caused by the something entertainment issue, something service issue, something, experience issue. But what is the primary, the main force of destination competitiveness should be change. So it's a service and the experience is which is good, but I think there is a secondary. The first primary is much more people got attention from the certain primary impact, such as K-pop, such as dance and the drama as a main primary force for the people got impressed. What the hell is this? And let's go to the Korea rather than Japan. So, can you say is it right assumption about that? Which is one best one, secondary one?
This one because there's indicated from those kind of popular data that is the symptom we saw, and then the understanding about the reason that's behind it is for now I would say there are quite some kind of say research work trying to see what is the reason behind it for small scale destination, like say a particular hotel, like say in for example, like in Jeju Island, there are just so many small number of the 4-star, 5-star hotel. But why this group of people always choose this one, not the other one? And then there's some kind of research work, at least for not for Jeju Island, maybe I'm not aware of who did this, but for Hong Kong and Macau, we did some of this work we call it diagnostic, that's AI, to see why people choose this one rather than the other one, and what is the reason behind it. So the methods behind it is diagnostic, that's AI. As I mentioned in the area, applied AI area, many of us just do too much in descriptive AI. For example, data science, data analytic, they do this. Or many of our students, they learn machine learning and AI forecasting, they do this predictive one. These two are too popular, but people were not paying enough attention to diagnosis AI or prescriptive AI. These two, I would say from my own experience, at least in tourism, hospitality, there's very limited research. So it's good topic for PhD students. If some of that you want to explore, that's I think is good area to do it. Because for me, I would say I have to be fair. My lab is a cybersecurity lab. All of my bachelor students up to PhD, they all want to do hacking. Okay, they all want to do hacking or defense. Very few of them want to do tourism. So I would say I can see quite a number of that's good things behind it. Just as Professor Ku mentioned, for this area, there are a lot of there's a really good methods and behind it, and also open problem, and then just waiting for delivery. So it is somewhere technology is slightly behind in the area. So that's good thing for us, especially for research students. Okay. Back to our slides. That's based on that kind of analysis. We identify a lot of there's research gaps, and then you can scan this barcode, this URL. You can read this paper and introduce the details on how we did this and what kind of research problem, research gaps we identified. And then for this research work, I always say for the guys, that's Hai Young's PhD, he completed this morning. He mainly do these two research work. One is how can you evaluate a particular locations, not less a city. Okay, destination could be a small one. Competitiveness. What make it competitive? And the other one is how we can improve it. Okay, so that is the two major research problem that's behind it. And now let's see the first research group. Okay, the first research problem is a traditional problem. For example, like I say, each of this is a city. The red one here is your city. And then along each direction, for example, like I say, the price, the location, the weather, whatever, you compare it with your neighbors, you might find out, okay, how can I make myself different in my advertisement? You might say, okay, maybe, for example, like Guangzhou, except the Guangzhou Square, and there's not much other things that to sell. So along which direction we are very far away from the others. I said, okay, you can see if you promote this, say, democracy and 1980s, and then you attract them all, okay? So that is something we can find out from all angles. So you may turn it, and then until some angle, you find, okay, this way I've separated from the others. So that could be your advantage, could also be your disadvantage. So that is the idea behind it. Mathematics is like this. But what is challenge is there's so many subspaces. Okay, if just three-dimensional, you have you have 2 power to 3 combinations. And then it's an exponential problem, okay? So how can you find the efficient? I think we have some kind of method to find it efficiently. And then the key issue behind it is, for this kind of things, what are those dimensions? And then how can we evaluate it along this dimension? That's what is my location. For example, like I say, for the average price, for hotel, it could be just like say, for my location to the CBD, how many walking time minutes, and then for the airport, that's whether it's just a mutual direct to airport or have to change a lot. So there are a lot of the things to evaluate, but how can you find out? Okay, everything can be the factor, but the combination will be exponential. Even though if you found it, you found it, but the question is difficult. Okay? So that is a problem behind it. As for how can you do it, I think I can just very quickly talk about the methods behind it. And the first thing is how can we define those kind of dimensionality? Because our data, it could be anything, could it be resource-based on, could be anything like a weather, share market, exchange rate, and then temperature, a lot of things. That's a resource-based on, they talk about this. But for us, we are from experience-based on, we want to see from those kind of review comments from reviewers, from the tourists, based on their experience, what they're talking about, what they're feeling about it. So if there's some kind of thing they're talking about it as a focused, and then we call them as a touch point. So there was a theory called touch point theory. And then based on each touch point, we consider as a one dimension. And then we may have many different dimensions and then trying to find out evaluation about it. So the method behind it, technology is called as aspect-based sentimental analysis. Okay, the idea is like this. We know in the AI, many of our business students, when we do research, we want to sentimental analysis. Sentimental analysis is a very rough area. They just say this sentence is positive or negative or neutral. Okay, but the real situation is not so simple. You can see here, they said that the scenery is beautiful, but the food is awful. So altogether, one positive, one negative, you may come as a conclusion, it's a neutral. But if you look at it into the details, there are some aspect, scenery that is good, and the food that is awful. So there are two things. one positive, one negative. So ABSA is doing this kind of research. This is not our method. This is a method available that's in the ACL, that's computational language, that's processing. And we just use this one, expect as touch point, and so that from all of these kind of review comments, we identify what are these kind of touch points there. And for each touch points, whether they are positive or negative, and normalize it. And then the formula for quantization, you can come up with your own things, but I just skip here. But the basic idea is for all of these kind of touch points, of course, they talk about everything. This one talk about pizza, the other one talking about maybe talking about Ludo, the other one talking about many other things. But then you may group them automatically. There's some method called clustering, unsupervised learning. Group them to say, okay, this is Western food, this is Korean food, and this is snack, and then you can just treat them as a touch point, okay? And to see how people evaluate around it. So once we have this, the method that's borrowed from the subspace that's reasoning, we can identify what are they good and what are the key selling points. So we have one case study, but I may just skip it. And this is Uluru in Australia. That's the central of the Australia, basically just like a walk, a very big rock that's on the island. That's the other place that all desert. And then they call it Uluru. And many of our students that are in Australia, international students, they visit there. So we may want to see for here, what are those kind of touch points? That means from the tourist point of view, what are the common things they talk about? They highlight it or just complain. And then we can identify a lot of that's popular things, a lot of unpopular things. And then you can see some of the things, they are popular and also unpopular. That means people that talk about it's good, and some people also talk about it's not good. Say view, some people don't like it. And toilet, of course, people complain about it, but of course, there's the other things that's they are positive. So from here, you can see what is good and what is not good. And then give us that's a results that's aggregate together, we can find out what are the best thing about it. And then we can also just group different things together. And we can have this kind of radar map to visualize for this location, for example, like I say, Uluru, the view is fantastic, it might be the best in all of this kind of data we investigated. Food is very bad, even there's no event. Service is not bad, facility is very bad. Okay, so you can see that's Uluru. And then for tourists to do something, you know that, okay, you may need to prepare your own food, snack, chocolate from outside rather than in the desert, okay? And then you may have to have there's a thermos, there's a heat tech kind of things prepared, even though Australia is hot. And that is the thing we can find out. But this is not the end of it. The key thing is, if you have this kind of understanding, the question next is, how can you improve it? For example, if there are two things, both of them are very popular. If you're given $1 million for you to improve so that you beat the other shop, two hotel, okay? You're competing with each other. But now your hotel say, okay, I give you $1 million so that you attract more guests than the others. How are you going to do it? How can you attract more? So that one comes to our second research. This second research is the one we call it as the competitiveness improvement. We avoid the method that we call it as improve the disadvantage. No, we're not just focused on disadvantage. We may make our strengths more strong, or we may find something that's a weakness to improve it. There are different ways. We have no limits about it. But then the idea is just like this, still the same, that we want to find out for this red one, along which direction we want to push from original location to push to that direction. And then to see it will be separated from others as an advantage. Of course, this pushing is going to be costly. We want to make sure that push this direction for this much, for that direction for that much, altogether is within our budget. But then the destination is separated from others. So that is mathematical problem behind it. And then if you look at the optimization, is here, okay? I would like to say, for improvement, if you're checking about all of these kind of, say, combination of measures, there are a lot of ways that's to improve the competitiveness. But the problem behind is, what is sufficient? Out of all the things, sufficient. For example, like I say here, for up to this level is sufficient to beat your competitors, okay? To attract more users. That's it. Out of here, we want to find out which one is the one with minimal cost, okay? Sometimes with the budget, we all said we want to finish the budget. But if we already achieved the objective, why we need to finish the budget? Okay, so that is the theory behind it. So in this way, we formulate this problem as a problem that we call it counterfactual reasoning, and then identify from all of those kind of things meeting our expectation. That's higher than the others, maybe with a buffer, this much along this way, and then we come up with a strategy for improvement. Okay, that's a theoretical foundation is still a touch point for the dimension, but the important methodology is counterfactual. That's a reasoning, and this one I would say it is it is a method I think in economics that got a very good application. I checked 2021. I think a 21 Nobel Prize economy was about this. Okay, counterfactual reasoning. Okay, these kind of things. There's a advantage. The key advantage is they will formulate this problem as I would say as a mathematical optimization problem. Okay, you can see this optimization is they want to find out. For example, here is that delta is our changes. I want to push the original x to the delta. Okay, after that delta, we found that compared with the original one is competitively improved for this much. So that is the thing mathematically want to do. So find out all of those kind of say strategies which can make it within the constraints of budget to arrive at this destination. Okay, arrive higher than this one, and then find out which one will be minimal. Okay, sometimes you could combine two things. One is the cost will be minimized. Second thing is the number of items you want to change is minimized. For example, like I say, for hotel, we may say we can improve the innovate that's indoor decoration. We may improve the toilets. You may improve Wi-Fi. You may just improve the, for example, like you may just improve the front desk. So out of this, if just one of them that is to change, you can arrive at your destination. Why you need to change two or three? For example, if you just change the Wi-Fi and people already are satisfied, why you want to change the toilets or the others to do so much changes? So it's always some kind of things which that's provide that's constraints on how much cost we want and whether the thing we want to change will be too much, because if you want to change Wi-Fi, that's easy. Just IT technician is needed. If you want to change the front desk, you may need a human resources person. If you change the indoor toilets, that would be plumbers, everything will be involved. So there are these kind of things. Okay, so give a summary that we say traditional methods in any descriptive or predictive, they will not attempt to find out what is potential changes they want to do, but predictive AI, current popular is CR method, and then they just calculate the potential changes and then recommend something that's for you to do. Okay, so that is the thing. Overall framework, I think roughly the same idea, and then we have a case study that's for Phillip Island, Penguin Island in North Victoria or Melbourne. Okay, I think we identified the things which was positive, identified the things which is negative, and then the methods we come up. Okay, of course, I will not go into detail, but the key idea or key findings from it is we found that the results, the best result, depending on our application, is the thing we want to improve might not be our disadvantage. Okay, might be our advantage, but we want to push it to the extreme, because sometimes this destination is attractive for some tourists, but tourists may have other choices. For example, like say, why I need to come to Jeju Island, why I don't want that's why not going to, for example, Hainan, that's island in China, or go to Taiwan. Okay, there are a lot of choices, but why this is the best one? You may make it even more extremely better than the others. So this is one way. The other way is disadvantage. For example, people complain about toilets. Okay, you improve it. Okay, so the results finally you can see that the thing improved is a combination of both the good ones and the bad ones, but to the level that's what you want. So that is the summary of this work, and then give a conclusion. Okay, this one I would say the set of the research work in this area. Of course, as our team, we have many different kind of area to touch in the tourism. For this destination competitive one, what we are trying to do is we try to avoid those kind of say traditional problem in the, say, resource-based research or profit-based research. Because that kind of research, we need to know some internal data, okay? How can I know that you have the budget for this year, for this hotel? We don't know, okay? No one will tell you, okay? So input side we cannot do, output side we can do, but the user experience as a channel which influence the input and output, connect them, is public available. So why not we use this one? So that's from methodology point of view. We change the research, we call it phenomenal construction research methodology, and change it from this resource-based competitiveness to the destination-based competitiveness. So that is a methodology point of view. So that's a theoretical point of view. Methodology point of view, I would say many of us, we were not aware of other methods. For example, like say, distributed AI and predictive AI use a lot. And diagnosis AI, many of us not aware. But if you have really good data, we can do it, okay? One of the work we did, I think 2007, I think Roblo and I, we published a paper that's using caution model to find the reason. That was one of the very first one. But nowadays, we have more interesting problems to touch, and then we can also do something around here, diagnosis AI. Prescriptive AI, I would say in this area, it was blank. Of course, now as my team published around 3 papers, ATR, JTR, and TM in this one. And a lot of things can be done if you have interest. You can just read those papers and then try to see how it can be utilized in your own research. I think you just take this one, there's a barcode. Let's go to my lab's publication. I'm not sure it's all publication or there's a business intelligence publication, but you can find out, okay? So that is the end of my talk, and I may conclude here.
Okay.
And
Absolutely. Before the open for the student question, I want to ask you first. I highly interested in these days one research topic. It's about one of my colleagues asked me to do research UNESCO World Heritage. UNESCO World Heritage is one of the luxurious, historical site and the valuable site, and the UNESCO point the place is UNESCO designation, and people are proud and historically and culturally. So if I want, when I got to the site, UNESCO World Heritage, there is an explanation of about the history, value, and sort of things. Yeah. It's much explanation provided by the organization rather than the travelers. Yeah. And then equally, each travelers may visit the TripAdvisor site about the same World Heritage site, and probably it's somewhat different between that official the explanation and personal experience. So I think if I apply that data analytics, like when you are applied into this destination competitiveness, probably we may acquire the data from World Heritage site, official data and information that is provided by the organization, and then individual experience as a traveler may feel different about the World Heritage. In that case, probably the countries and the destination are so proudly advertise the UNESCO competitive site as a competitive advantage or comparative advantage, whatever. But probably we may find out something different angle of that the view directly from the traveler's experience itself. So you did this work with your team before. What do you think about my research idea if we apply that research?
I think clearly there will be consider. It will be a topic which can be touched and immediately as the methods can that's are available to do this kind of say analysis.
Uh-huh.
It's a topic that is that can be done. And something could be interesting if you find those kind of things like such as inconsistency
Uh-huh.
in
Right.
the producers provider side as information,
Mm-hmm.
and then the consumer side, because we have a supplier and then consumer side.
Mm-hmm.
And then if everything is as the same, that would be boring. But the important thing is sometimes we found the inconsistency. This
Mm-hmm.
one said is like it, it's really good. The other side, okay, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
The other side said, okay, for this category, I like the other one better rather than this one. So you can find this kind of resources. And then if you have this kind of say findings, that will also be quite interesting. It's a quite good topic, application topic to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can find time to discuss that afterwards. I would say if the data sets are available, at least I think we can find the list of this UNESCO, that's a heritage one. And
Mm-hmm.
then we can find that's a more narrow down, that's a topic that is to do the analysis. That's no problem. Methodology point of view is doable.
That's very important. A theory you mentioned, the inconsistency and consistency. Actually, there must be gap. Gap is the information provided by UNESCO's or information provided by TripAdvisor or DMO, uh,
Yeah.
and actual experience by individual level. There is a gap between uh, organization and tourist, and also tourist by tourist. That
Yeah.
must be different each other two dynamics or two dimensions, two by
Yeah.
two. Actually, one of my students, she has done this work uh, for her dissertation, and now the paper is under review ATR and receiving revision again. But unfortunately, some reject and resubmission is in the period. But
Okay.
after I seen your presentation, probably we may apply for this work to the UNESCO site because it's officially classified and officially sealed by the UNWTO, which
Yeah.
is we don't need to argue about how do you pick, how do you point out, how do you select that site.
Yeah.
So which is so simple and concise, their classification. This is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about that later about that the research topic with me. Okay, students open for your question time. Okay, any topics, any questions you may ask him. Go.
Yeah,
Miss?
hello, may I add something?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, thank you very much. And the presentation was very interesting, so I really love it. And so, first of all, about myself, I would like to precise the fact that in addition from being originated from Cameroon, I studied in Italy. So I'm doing a PhD here in two universities. And I have some questions regarding your presentation. I wanted to know, as you are an expert in computer science and in those fields related to AI, wanted to know whether there is any control issue related to the use of AI. Is the company that will apply AI, can we say that AI or AI robot, for example, are not fully controlled by the people that can be called to use it, such that consumer might have some concern about
Okay.
the about their own safety when they are using these technologies. And from that point of view, I wanted to know also if
Okay.
we might therefore imply that the use of these tools by a company might influence their
Yeah.
competitive position if we consider a tourism company, for example, an hotel as an attraction. So thank you.
I think it's a very good point, and also the concern many of us should be aware. The first thing I would say, we are working on a paper actually. I would say when we have an AI available, many of us think it's a good thing for us. For example, like I say, many of our students may use ChatGPT to polish your AI, polish your language using AI. But if you read the claim, the clause, the agreement of OpenAI. Okay, you just read a lot of things that, okay, I agree. But if you carefully read into the content, you may notice that some company that say, okay, the document is polished by this product. The copyright belongs to the company, not you. Okay, you may check. It's a potential. Of course, I always say for now, it's not a real problem, but there's a potential problem behind it. Okay, and even for this one, for the research student to use AI, you already have this concern. For the other kind of concern for AI in tourism or hospitality, you may not forget, should not forget that I'm professor in cybersecurity. Many of my students are doing attacking and defense, and I can tell you that for my students, we don't even use the public Wi-Fi, hotel Wi-Fi, because potentially if some attacker with the capability like my lab students, uh, they may impersonate you, okay, to initiate whatever communication with your net bank. Potentially it's possible, okay, and we can also have some kind of things to hack into the, for example, like a delivery robots. You must, in many of the Chinese hotels, they have this one. They have delivery. They use the robots coming, okay. And then potentially, how can you know that? Okay, the camera, they take everything. Okay, they may take everything and they may trace many things you are not aware. And I will say there are a lot of things to be worried about. However, the things is getting better. The main reason is you may saw two very major there's a law breakthrough because technically we cannot there's a prevent many things just like nuclear power technology we cannot prevent, but by law, by regulation, it's become more and more mature. 2018 we have the EU's GDPR. They mentioned that what kind of data can be collected and what is your right there. That's why Gmail, Google, they may allow you to delete the account. Okay, that's because of GDPR. The cross-border, there's a data they have to be respected. For example, data in EU, they should be in EU rather than in the United States or China. Okay, they have a lot of the law behind it. And then last year, there's also one more thing very important come up. EU, they have AI Act 2024. They mentioned that what kind of things we can do with AI, what kind of things we should not do, at least it's illegal to do it with AI. For example, you can use my voice, my face to talk about whatever things you want me to say to generate a video. That's doable. And you can generate a very real video to make me to sing any song in whatever accent is possible. But technically it's possible. And legally, now maybe there's many of the things has been that field. And I believe that this is country by country. I think China, they have the privacy law, and then Australia, they have APP. And in Korea, I believe there's something similar will be coming. And the other country, I think that we should also be aware of these things. That's why you may see one of the research team in my lab is working on the law and the regulations. And we check all sorts of this kind of say, potential risk. It's related to tourism and hospitality because we see that in tourism sport, they have the surveillance camera. And then if you go with your friend, and then sometimes your friend, whatever, they reveal a lot of things about us. Okay. And one of the work, I think 2018, at that time we did one work from public data. As a 2018, if you check my paper, that's a 2018 current issue in tourism. Okay. That's the world only paper about this privacy attack. Why? Because after the paper published, GDPR said you should not do this kind of analysis. Before that, it was legal. After that, it was illegal. So I said that kind of work was the only work. What we did is, from public data, we will identify whether a boy, a real person, okay, had two girlfriends at the same time. These two girls didn't know each other. Okay, this is real. This is real. Okay, real public data. You can read that paper. And I will say there are a lot of issues behind it. And for our research student, that also means good opportunities for you to make some kind of impact.
Okay, other students?
Thank you very much.
Mhm. Okay, everybody. Okay, then I will point out. Okay, hey, Sujong, you're the PhD student, sir. You may ask something to him.
Yeah, actually, I have a question about the counterfactual reasoning. Because as you, first of all, sorry, thank you for your insightful presentation, Professor Lee. You mentioned that in your research, as a methodology, you applied the counterfactual reasoning method, and it contains the causal inference. And in my very little limitations of my study, causal inference method is quite complex and difficult. So could you give me tips for doing some causal inference method for the student?
Okay, I will say the key thing for causal inference, I think at the very beginning is to see what might be the consequences if you propose a strategy. So for this task, traditionally the big problem, for example, using Bayesian network, we can map this kind of say cause and effect together. So when whatever procedure come up, and then they will just make sure that that is the consequences that in your interest points that can be captured. So in this way, Bayesian network, causal network was the thing behind it. But constructing causal network is difficult because you may need to have actual expert knowledge to construct that network. That is the first thing, but that's not a key thing. Key difficulty is not key. This one has been solved. The key challenge is we have too many different kind of say options. They are all valid. And then for this many, there's a possible there's a strategies. How can you find out one which might be the best? For an optimization problem, original problem, it could be a long convex optimization. Long convex means convex, you know, that it's like this. There's only a global minimum. So in the AI methods, there are some kind of methods we call it as the constraints-based one. We add the constraints. With the constraints, the problem from the long convex optimization become convex optimization. Convex optimization, the beautiful thing about it is local minimum is the global minimum. Okay, so we just going down to find the best. That's the global best. We don't need to worry about it. We restart it again. So that is the theory behind it. And then that's a for different that's paper. I think that's a kind of that's a most of paper they use this strategy to say, okay, we just find out how can you improve. That's it. Okay, that's the best way. And then local minimum is the global minimum, and then the organization methods already incorporate some kind of constraints inside. So that is the idea, the overall, that's the rough idea behind it. As for more specific one, I think at least you should know better about the organization, but of course, understanding it is important. Utilizing it, I would say, if you find the right way, you can always find any kind of say tools which can help you to find the optimal. So that is general as a strategy. The idea behind it is maybe read a little bit more about the area. It's not too much, not too difficult.
Okay, good questions. Go. Can you do the second question? No? Then, okay, any other students? Oh, Jinson, you may you have a question in your mind.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is thoroughly served. Um,
Don't worry. I will say the area in general that's applied AI is easy to touch. You may just remember I talked about Associate Professor Kwang. He's my colleague, my friend. But when he started, he was in the second year bachelor. And then I would say the same for every domain. So if you have interest, just find the right angle to kick in, and then you get a really good result. Because my suggestion is always you should not do everything, do a thing everyone was many people are working on. Should not, because that means a lot of competition. None of us are really confident that we are better than everyone else working on the same problem. No, the important thing is you find the right problem using a right methods. But that right method, what do we mean right? But the right is not a common method. Everyone is using it. You should not using it. You have to find something that's unique.
Right. I totally agree with the Professor Kangni's mentioned. But the important thing is those kind of method and those kind of a way of analytics approach is really difficult for the beginners and students. So you should meet someone who can read your analytic skills, such as Professor Kangni or Kwang View. We met. That's why we met. We participate in a conference and meet someone who have different expert and analytic skills. It's important. It's a people are trying to attempt data analytics and image analytics and AI something analytics, but we must understand what is the research question and how we should suggest a hypothetical argument from that research question, and then apply the analytics, data for that solving the research question and hypothesis. If not, it's just somewhat data analytics itself doesn't work at all for journal papers. So we have to meet the right person before the right method. Okay, any question further? Sure. Turn on the microphone.
Hello, Professor. Thank you for your lecture. I have the one question about some heritage. You said about the touch point. We use some AI technology. In heritage tourism, many people have a touch point with some heritage sites and other things. So how about your thinking about some use with AI, and how development the tourist experience use with AI?
Yeah, I would say here, touch point theory basically was some theory that proposed by others in nearly 10 years ago. Why I involved here? The main reason is that when we are defining the math problem, like say subspace finding, find along which direction my hotel is competitiveness. We found that there are too many choices. Anything could be a factor. So these kind of things we force us to think about. That is, in a particular context, for example, like a hotel and the tourist and the guest, to see what triggered them. Okay, to choose this one. And in the comments, we said that what give them the most impressive. That's impression. Okay, it could be positive or negative, but what that thing we want to find out automatically. That's from the review comments, because you may say we may define it ourselves. Of course we can, but how can I convince myself that is is everything, it's comprehensive. So we just from those things, we use one method, just like a topic model to see what kind of aspects they're talking about. They may have something to say, for this restaurant, I like it. Why I like it? If my comments talk about the food a lot, maybe the food was impressive. But if I didn't talk about food, I talk about okay, there's a singer, there's a music, there's a band there. I like that band, so I just come for food. So you may have different things to impress the person. But overall, if aggregate things together, you might see what are the really separate things which can separate together. So that is the methodology that's background why we choose to call this one as a touch point. Mathematically, we are just trying to find out, for example, like a PCA, find out for those things what are the common things and what is semantic meaning about it. So that's it. And more modern method currently, that's you can use Python's that's a natural language processing that automatically find out those kind of ways combination for you, such that you can know what are they. For example, people talking about food, and then we have see that the food they can group into Western food, dessert, and then Korean food, and then Japanese. They can have different things, but this just up to the availability of the data. However, you may also put some kind of constraints in your code to do this. I think this is minor. So that's why I agree with Professor Ku's recommendation. Collaboration is the one which is important because we cannot be the expert in every area. Because even for myself, my first award was in medical science. Okay, I never be a medical that's a researcher, but in some way collaboration. Make sure that each side get some kind of say improvement from this
That's
collaboration.
right. Okay, what the Professor Kang Lee is saying right now, the collaboration is a very essential part of our journal, industry. Actually, I got my idea, but the data analytics is it's not my area, and the techniques is probably Professor Kang Lee is a lot better than mine and my teams. But we have some knowledge of domains here in tourism business. So like a UNESCO heritage site, probably he never imagined the kind of UNESCO heritage site. But I know how to do the research. But these days, the tourism management or analysis of tourism research or DTR in a top tier journal in our domains, we cannot publication we cannot publish our papers without the rigorous data analytics, without the real data, secondary data, and the large volume of data, because large volume of data, which means the source of the real voice of a tourist. So these days, top tier journal require authors to attempt real one rather than just a small sampling or sort of things. So, which means that definitely we need the collaboration with computer science or someone who would do the really handling well the data itself. That's my point, actually. Okay, any other questions from students?
Could I ask one more question?
Sure. Go ahead.
Regarding the data that we have to collect. For example, assessing the destination competitiveness, we have to consider lots of dimension of the competitiveness around the destination. And in the data, maybe it could be critical to collect experience-based data from the tourist, but it sounds like very closely linked to the ethical issue for the individuals. Eligible the data or something. And so my question is how we can handle these kinds of issue in the aspect of researcher and practitioner?
I think this actually raises two issues. We all you will find most of this technology paper they all acknowledge. The first one is if the data is purely from online, not every tourist will go online. For myself, I had some feeling about particular, but I never post any kind of things that's online as a comments, as product comments. So maybe because of my age, but the key thing is we have to be noted that when we collect data, the data just represent those group of people who like to do this social networking, who like to put comments. So the result is biased, okay? And then the second thing is we should also be aware that when we are collecting data, you may notice TripAdvisor. In their clause, they explicitly mention that it's not right, maybe illegal to analyze the data, even though it's public. Okay, the TripAdvisor was the one which explicitly mentioned this. Okay, so that's why you may see some of my data was from the Google. Okay, even Agoda from here. So that's two common issues about it. However, for research students, because your key aim is not in the, for example, your key aim, if you're working on this particular city's company, you are not that's a city administration, that's the board. You maybe don't care that much about the real findings. Like I say, you want to improve this, or it maybe it's biased. Okay, whether the real findings is biased or not. What do you care for research students? Whether the methodology is valid and whether the methodology is applicable or is better than the others. Because in some cases where you have all sorts of data, for example, internally, you may find that the same method can be utilized for those resource-based as competitive analysis. The resource one, internally, you may have access to resources. So that is something we should be aware of, especially when we are the scientific researchers, rather than the real practitioners. Say if you are hotel owner, you may do it differently, but the methodology could be the same because you may have your internal data.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hi, sir, Gaurav this side.
Okay, go ahead.
So thank you so very much for this wonderful session. So I have no particular question. However, I want your take on GDPR policy of European Union, because I have worked in MXGBT. So I have completely complied what we have said about the restrictions that about data collection of from the hotel sites. So is there any way that we can get secondary data and researchers like enthusiasts like us? And second question, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then my second question is that is it the right time to invest in data centers? Because the valuation is very high. And I thought it continued.
I will say that I get I'm not clear about your first question. First question is talking about data sources, right?
Yes, yes. Secondary data, how we can get the secondary data.
I would say
Because
all the data we are using, we are just secondary data, and then and I will say some of you that may think about whether you want to generate the I would say in some way we call it as the generative data or synthetic data. That is, you have the real data, but for whatever reason, real data you cannot release or you cannot do whatever kind of process. But there are some kind of new methods to generate data. From generate data to do also all kind of analysis. So if you check in the computer science, there's a related area we call it data mart, data mart. Okay, they are trying to generate the data for a particular purpose and then try to sometimes they want to monetize it like a data market kind of things. You may see for the application, we have Windows application store, Apple, we have Apple's application store. How about the data? It is there. I think there's if you search it, I think there are several really popular ones that is available there. But I think for our research students, it's very rare that's for us to has opportunity to do this kind of things unless you are working on the data synthetics and that's algorithms. Because one of my graduate students, I think also graduated this year, he's trying to make the real data into the fake one. Okay, but the fake one, if you analyze it, the result is the same as the real one. so that in this way protect the privacy. So that was some kind of things, research things behind it. I think what you raised is really good as a practical question, but because of resources limitation or sometimes the channel limitation, most of our professors or even students, we do not have this kind of opportunity to touch that kind of say data resource or the other. So sometimes we care more about the methodology, we care more about the evaluation as a framework rather than the real findings.
Okay, thank you, sir. And the second question is that is it the right time to invest in data center companies? Because as I know, the valuation is very high, the P/E ratio is very high. So it will it continue to grow?
Uh, I was for now data center. I would say for now you may find that many of the company they are using cloud service. They don't have a real physical data centers. I was from the computer science point of view. They are utilizing those kind of big data from Cloudflare. Amazon is quite expensive. They use Cloudflare and to have those kind of distributed network. That technically is more in that side and. It's a standard general practice because they have to make sure that if one center crash, the other one they can take over. I think for this kind of data centers, no matter facilitate the internal running of the business or front side, as a business side running is very important. That's a common practice for that kind of cloud. That's a cloud back. That's a data center. It is there, but physically at least I didn't see it as a trend unless your company is really small. For example, like I say, for my own home and for my own university's team, I run my own that's a data center using 2 servers. So that is all of my at home, all of my movies, films or videos are over there. Courses are there. For my research centers, that's all the data collected are in a centralized position, central location, so that we can access. So that's for small one you can run, but for company, I think there are a lot of things you need to consider. For example, like I say, version of the data set, and the other one is the historic version, and then the backup, like a RAID 2 or RAID 5 or RAID 10. So which one you want to use, and that's more difficult than using a cloud service.
Okay, that's a very complicated question about industry situation. Okay, any other questions from students? Sonia, you may try.
Hello, Professor. Thank you for teaching us. Okay, I have one question. These days, I'm interested about the generation AI, and I'd like to know how this affects the tourism industry these days.
I would say there are quite a number of the research work about generative AI. I think if you attended as recent as a conference, you may see some application there. In my slides, you may see that most of the current one is from cognitive AI or analytical AI, this methodology. But for generative AI, at least there's not much really good work published in the top tier journal. There are different ways to do it. For example, I saw some paper submitted, but not published. That's using generative AI either for advertisement issues or for the comparison issues. Generative AI itself is a very big area, and I would say it can do most of the things I talk, especially about the literature review part. They can do it with really good outcome. So for user perspective, I would say at least you should know how to use it as a user. Students, I would say for most of my students here, we utilize, we don't use ChatGPT. We use our own servers, local one, because whatever submitted, we don't want it to belong to the company. I want to belong it to us. So we run our own models to do all sorts of things. But as for research, there are some kind of ideas that can be utilized. But the problem is, you may clearly see the difference between my strengths and professor that's Ku's strengths. For me, that's you just treat me as AI. That's you give problem to me. I find a solution for you. But then for the area, like I say, tourism, what is the good topic we should work on? I think you should seek advice from the professor school. And then for some of the problem, we may say nowadays technology support us to do so, and then I will find a way to do it. And the problem itself should be important. Okay, so that is the thing involved there. And I believe that for now is a gap for the generative AI to use in the tourism, I would say, in tourism research, okay? Because we haven't seen a big one, but I believe that there will be good ones from ATR, because I noticed they are trying to have a virtual special issue that's coming up. So that's what we saw. But then I'm also interested to see how they want to do this. But before we touch it, you need to know what is generative AI, what is it separate, what is special things it provides, rather than the traditional that's cognitive AI or the analytic AI. So that is the thing we can think about along the line.
Mm-hmm. Yes, right. Actually, generative AI is we are discussion or we are dialogue with ChatGPT or Claude AI or Google Gemini, which is sounds like act like a human, like a conversation. So people perceive it as a machine, or people may perceive it as a human. It depends on your thinking, and the people, if they perceive the ChatGPT as a human conversation, then probably they are react differently. But if think that is just a machine, they probably people more accurate and precise data they want. But if people like think differently, this is ChatGPT sounds like a human conversation. That's the matter of the perception these days, not just the core concept of computational itself. So I think these days, okay, probably we may ask ChatGPT or other, generative AI, hey, find out the POI, a point of interest for me in Jeju Island, and they recommend me. But there is a lot of hallucination and different place that they recommend. But actually, human intervention, we are analyzing TripAdvisor, and very different from that POI, neighbor recommendation and TripAdvisor recommendation, because it's different users. One is domestic users, another is international users. And I try to hypothesize how the ChatGPT is bring the answer for me. There is a big difference, hallucination or the fact. So at this moment, I try to diminish how the ChatGPT's recommendation, AI recommendation, and human recommendation, and how they're different. In order to that, I think we need to analyze the data itself, also visualization how the itinerary or route can be mapping onto the map. And then we are finding out, okay, there is a latitude or altitude, the hallucination, and then different route and visualization. This is what I'm doing at this moment to research. What do you think about the Professor Lee about that research?
Yeah, I think for now a lot of things are opening, and then I believe that is the best time to invest some of the students that a thesis on that. This is because even I consider as myself as an expert even in the data generation, because while my students just finished computer science PhD thesis in the data generation. So I also saw a lot of opportunities. So if we have any students who is interested in work on application of this in tourism, hospitality maybe also the same, and then we can do it. I can tell you one more thing, okay? Generative AI brought us a lot of challenge. Okay, this kind of challenge we call it astroturfing. Because if our research is based on the review comments, how can we know that the review comments was written by human or by astroturfers? They may be fake one. Okay, so So you can see another side in my lab is we are doing cyber war. Okay, cyber war. That's you are running a hotel, the other running a hotel. Your hotel buy a lot of, let's say, online troll farm that's users to attack the other one to say, okay, that side is not good. They don't have Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is very bad. Come to my hotel. This one is really good. No. They say, actually, is always say, come to this one is better. That one is not good. So they use this kind of, say, robots to change the public opinion. It has been quite successful. So that was something I can see on the attack side.
Okay.
It's happened. Okay, bring us problem, but then I think on the positive side also be something which is also good. Yeah, generally.
Okay. Okay. We have 7 minutes left. Any questions from students? Park So-eun? No question?
Well, thank you for your presentations. I need more time to ask questions.
Okay, no problem at all. I one last question from me to Professor Kang Lee. You know, the Google announced their the agentic AI, new keyword agentic AI, more evolutionized stage from the generative AI. Can you a little bit about the future, how the AI and will be play more agency AI and the generative AI, how they gonna be evolutionized?
I would say the agent-based AI, or even that was something that's from China's company, or the Manduli or whatever. They are trying to do something like, say, for you to identify a solution, they will use those kind of planning algorithm to trying to find out the best way to achieve your come up with a solution which is the best. The idea behind it was the traditionally is the planning and the scheduling, as well as more recent as reinforcement learning. And agent AI, I would say for usage is fine, and even for researchers it's fine. But we should all be aware of one thing. And for my students in my university, because I teach computer science students, and I told them that we should not consider those kind of generative AI or large language models as our competitors or as some kind of negative things, because that is the trend. Just like in 1980s in United States, there's a math teachers, high school teacher, they said they prevent the use of calculators in school. Okay, they don't want the students to use calculator. But now that you can see, we had some trend for some university to say we should not use generative AI. For others, they also be the same. They said they should not. They're trying to ban it. And however the situation should be, this is a tool. This is some kind of thing which can leverage our that's a capability. For example, like I say, if you are doing research work or doing analysis, you have your own methods, and generative AI can provide your solution. So at least your solution should be at least as better as the generative AI solution. You should improve on top of that. And if you cannot, that might means you need more training and more thinking about that, where you are going to develop your expertise. This is more, I think, more risk for computer science students because they are learning programming. But then they found that programmings from the programmers from ChatGPT, they arrive 70%. And many of our students, they cannot reach 70%. They arrive at, they just pass. So that means there's no job opportunities. So I think we should learn how to utilize those kind of supporting tools in every aspect of our research work. No matter large language models or agents, they are tools to support us, not against us. We should not compete them. Just like say, we allow us running faster than a car, but we should be a driver rather than running against a car, right? It should be a better driver to drive, get to the destination faster and more efficient, rather than say, okay, I don't want to use that. I use my horse. Horse is good enough. No.
Okay, very good. Professor Kang, thank you very much. The great lecture for our students. Can you one last tip for our students from the point of view the computer scientist toward the tourism students?
Okay, yeah, I will say, considering your background, they are not in IT, and the thing is, many of the things you want to do, you should try to seek the collaboration, because behind it there are a lot of things, because there are all sorts of training, bachelor to PhD training. But the key thing is you should learn something about the general, that is data science methods, to say what kind of things can be done by what kind of AI. For example, like now you may know that using LSTM, they can do the forecasting really well. And using this kind of agent AI, they can do the planning really well. Using counterfactual, they may be able to get some kind of, say, strategy for here or there. You should know this, what can do what. And then based on this, you can figure out your research problem. Say, okay, based on my understanding of that kind of algorithm, I might be able to come up with a question like this. As for how to solve the problem, you should leave it to your collaborators. So for researchers, what to do, and then is how to do. You can focus more on what to do and treat your collaborator as robots or AI. So that is the way, so that we can we can improve our research. Rather than it's the end of social science, we should have is a better social science. So that is a message to our students.
Okay, very well, very well. Thank you very much, Professor Gangmi, and I'm glad to meet you digital first. We never met him before, and I just sending invitation letter to him, and he kindly accept my request. So this is a world of how we work. You know, the count partners. We can see each other, and we are ready to meet and ready to collaborate each other. Okay. Thank you very much, and look forward to see you soon again in our conference. And thank you very much for your great lecture.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.